It is Chris here, your host at SpookTastic Reviews. Thank you all for tuning in. It really means a lot to me if you are tuning in, although I did lose one subscriber, so now I'm not happy with everyone, I guess. However, you know, if you're here today, that means you were here last week where we did an introduction to a new mini-series I want to start on this channel for this month called the SpookTastic Reviews, which, if you remember in that video, which I'll put a link down below. I know a week is hard for some of us. I hardly remember what happened to like last week anyway, but I'll try and remember. Basically, I'm going to be watching a movie, a horror movie, each day for the whole month of October, and I want to do a review each week of what I saw for that week. So that's 7 films, so 7 movies a day, which for me is like kind of not really big of a deal because, I mean, I try to watch 2 movies a day if I can, because I'm a freak that way. I'm sure some of you can relate. I'm looking at you, FlickPick. Just kidding. I mean, FlickPick probably sees like what, 1 movie a month, and then does a review at the theater with. I'm hoping it's his girlfriend. I hope he's not paying whoever that is to be in his video. But anyway, you know, so this was a really fun first week of October for me. I think this SpookTastic review miniseries is going to do really well, just because I had so much fun doing it. But yeah, let's talk about what I watched this week. Also, if you wanted to see in like a more in-depth way, and probably not as a childish review like I'm doing right now, but if you want to see a more mature like review and thoughts of what I saw during this week, you can check me out at Letterboxd. I'll put a link of that down below. That's usually where I try to do you know, some actual legitimate reviews, not some kind of BS stuff I'm about to throw at you. Anyway, let's go in. So I'm gonna pull up my phone because like I said, I'm a millennial and I'm always attracted to this thing. But we'll go with the first movie I watched on October 1st, which I made a tweet about, which I don't think anybody saw because I only got 1 like, and that was from me. And I think I even also retweeted that too because I'm pathetic. But let's talk about Body Bags, which was the first movie I watched during this month. Body Bags, a Tobe Hooper film that has John Carpenter as your host in this movie. It's an anthology film. I've seen it before, but I really wanted to check it out again, so I got that chance. So the great thing about Body Bags, what I like, is it's 3 films, so it's nice, short, and sweet. Some anthologies take a little longer, I will say. They have some unnecessary segments. I'm looking mostly at Creepshow, which I absolutely love. It's not. I think it's fair to critique it. It has a few kind of skits that don't land. I think Creepshow 2 did a little bit better with 3, just they weren't very strong. And then, now we're talking anthologies now, I'm going to say Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt from the 70s. Don't really care for those. And Tales from Halloween. I think that's one of the few anthologies that I've seen that has a load of segments that all work really well for the most part. But 3, I think, is usually the magic number, and that's what Body Bags does. So Body Bags, John Carpenter is the host. He's kind of like a crypt keeper of sorts, but he's just being funny and weird and goofy and kind of doing really sweet intros for all 3. So the first segment, it's about a gas station attendant, and then the second segment is about a man who just wants to grow hair, for crying out loud. Guys, can you relate? And then 3, it has our loved Mark Hamill as a baseball player. So basically with these SpookTastic reviews, I want to just highlight a few things from each one. I don't want to go in depth, but yeah, Body Bags is awesome. I think, is it the best anthology? No, but I have so much fun watching it that it tells me that it's really good. I don't think it's amazing, but I mean, it's a fun, light, awesome thing. And seeing John Carpenter have a fun time telling jokes, and also Wes Craven has a cameo in this as well. Which, rest in peace, Wes Craven, and also rest in peace to Tobe Hooper, who was an amazing director. So, Body Bags, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, if you want to check that out on Letterboxd. Next film I watched, I don't actually own, but I've been wanting to check it out for a long time, and I finally got to now, which was Yorgos Lanthimos' film called Dogtooth. You can watch that on Shudder. A Dogtooth is a very freaking weird movie, much like any Yorgos film if you've seen. I've only seen 4 films by him now, which is now Dogtooth. My first was The Lobster, and then I watched The Favorite, and then I just recently saw The Killing of the Sacred Deer as well. So I will say I love The Lobster to death, and I loved Killing of the Sacred Deer. Dogtooth I have a mixed bag with, along with The Favorite, which is really weird. So yeah, Dogtooth. It's just to give a quick review on that. It's about this family, a father who's isolated his 3 kids from society. He lives outside the town where he works, and he's convinced them of like different meanings of being in a society. So like he explains, like, let's say for example, door. Door doesn't mean an actual door. He explains to his kids that a door means a knife, let's just say, and then kids call their knives door. It's really weird. He kind of like brainwashes his kids into function in a way their father and mother want them, to keep them safe from society. I know, this is freaking weird, but here's the catch. The dad hires a woman from work to come over to his house and perform sexual acts for his son because he's at that age of being sexually active, let's just say. This sounds weird, I already know, just stick with me. And then that lady tries to exploit those kids by bringing outside things into this enclosed world, and then just hell ensues, and basically for the family. The reason it's called Dogtooth is because the father does not let these kids out until their dog teeth, their canine teeth, fall out, which is interesting, and that'll play into the climax of the film. It's very black humor. It's bleak at times. It's very cringy. I really liked it. I gave that, I think, a 3.5 out of 5 as well. It's not as strong as The Lobster or The Killing of the Sacred Deer. I think I might have enjoyed it more than The Favorite as well, but it's totally an indie film. It's shot very well. The cinematography, when you get from Yorgos, is always great. It's definitely a satire on society as a whole, and it's pretty on the nose. So if that's your kind of thing, check that out on Shudder. Okay, the next film I watched was Tigers Are Not Afraid. This was a very highly recommended film on Shudder, Twitter as well. It's directed by a first-time director. She's a female from Mexico, so I'm Hispanic, and I really relate to that. So, man, what I've noticed is we're living at a golden time for Mexican filmmakers, and my gosh, I just gotta say, I'm not to like be biased, but I am. I really enjoy that, and I think a lot of the films I've seen from a lot of these directors, I've very much enjoyed. I would say Alfonso Cuarón is one of them that really stands out for me. Obviously, Guillermo is a high influence for everyone, and man, he's just so lovable, isn't he? And now this new director, she did a really great job. You could tell she borrows a lot from Del Toro. This film, Tigers Are Not Afraid, is about this girl who loses her mother to a drug cartel in Mexico, and she's with these kids who are orphans. And they're in a gang trying to survive, and there's supernatural elements to this movie that the kids have to overcome, along with trying to survive this very realistic problem. So it's a very interesting movie. Is it the best? No. I think the reception for it was a little bit more than it warranted, because the story has a few minor plot holes in it. But I think on a technical level, the movie is very well made. I think the fairy tale stuff doesn't land exactly well. It felt a little forced, and I think the supernatural elements weren't as prevalent as I was hoping. It's more or less a realistic horror drama, if anything else, with these kids. But it's definitely worth a watch. I think I relate to it a little bit more just for being Hispanic. I'm not saying you have to, but that's just me. So I gave that a 4 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd as well. So the next movie I watched it with my girlfriend, and man, I had such an awesome time with it. That is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That was made in 1986, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was, late in the 80s. But Killer Clowns from Outer Space, watched it, loved it. I think this movie is awesome. I watched it for the first time when I was like 16 or 17, and it was like on TV late at night, and I was like, what the hell are these clowns? They look awesome. Watched it, and forever have a special place in my heart. But Killer Clowns, if you haven't seen this movie, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is basically, these clowns land on Earth, and they're basically sucking up humans to eat them, drink their blood, basically. So they're clown vampires of sorts. Really cheesy. It's comic, and I really enjoy it. And honestly, the special effects are really good. The clowns look awesome. But yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, cult classic. If you haven't checked it out, what the hell are you doing? I'm gonna fling it at you right now to watch it. No, seriously, check this movie out. It's pretty damn good. All right, the next film I watched, again with my girlfriend. We didn't finish it, but I went back and finished the rest of it because, I mean, I've seen it plenty of times. And that was Coraline. Coraline, a movie about a girl named Coraline who's unhappy with her life with her mom and dad, and finds a special hidden doorway in their new house where it leads to an opposite world, and she discovers, though it is really great, there's a lot of sinister stuff going on. This movie is insanely dark for being targeted as for kids, but I mean it's Tim Burton produced, I believe. It's not actually directed by him, but it is for adults as well. I think it really holds up. I think the problem is it's a little long. I really enjoy the movie. I love the world. I love the art style of it. But yeah, Coraline, check it out. It's definitely like a couples movie, I would say, because the aesthetic is there for everyone. And it's just a fun date night movie, and it's sweet at times, and it's also insanely dark. So check this out. Next movie I watched, it was this DVD I bought called Sisters of the Plague. I know, it's a DVD. It was 25 cents. I just flinged it at the Family Video lady. Also, speaking of Family Video, shameless plug for my collectors out there. Family Video has a Halloween deal going on their website, and I may or may not have seen some Scream Factories on there for $5. So I'm not going to say trick or treat, but it might have been a trick or treat. So please check that out if you're watching this video. Yeah, Sisters of the Plague. I was very interested because it had the Bloody Disgusting review on the back for 25 cents. I checked it out. Not very great. It has some problems. It tries to be art house. The plot, there's a lot to be desired in it, and it just kind of falls flat. There are some good segments in here, but I mean, the story's about this lesbian couple who live in France, I believe, and one of them, which his name is Joe, she's like a tour guide, and her girlfriend is a bartender. They have a really rocky relationship, and Joe's dad, who's an alcoholic, who lost their mother, lives with them. It's kind of a weird kind of psychological horror, and Joe ends up trying to talk with her mother by doing seances in abandoned houses, but it doesn't sound as awesome as I'm telling it now. It kind of falls flat, unfortunately. I do applaud the effort, though. But Sisters of the Plague, not too great. I watched it at night, and it was pretty hard to follow, and it kind of got boring at times. But it's still worth a check out, especially for a quarter. So, yeah, Sisters of the Plague, definitely okay. Okay, the movie I watched last, and is the movie I definitely want to talk about the most. That is the Lars von Trier film, not for kids, The House That Jack Built. The House That Jack Built, I was very anticipating. I didn't see it in theaters because it was for one night, and then it got banned in the country, apparently. But I got it for free, and I checked it out the other day, and it is definitely disturbing. It's pretty sickening at times. The violence is pretty grotesque, and it looks awesome. Lars directs a very great looking movie. It really hits with the violence. It's very, like kind of that kind of vibe. Matt Dillon is freaking awesome in this movie. He just blows this role out of the water. He plays Jack, who is a OCD serial killer who looks at his killings as a work of art of sorts. He likes to have philosophical discussions and justifications for his actions, which he calls his killings incidences, with the surprisingly Virgil, who was the writer of the movie, not the movie, well, it is a video game movie technically, of Dante's Inferno. But yeah, he has these discussions in between his incidences, he calls, and yeah, he basically justifies them like any serial killer would do. This is definitely, you know how people who watch Netflix love watching their Jeffrey Dahmer serial killer documentaries. This is basically for horror fans who want to get that kind of vibe, but also, puke after they see the killing in this movie. Jonesy's looking at me like, you sick bastard, why did you watch this? But yeah, The House That Jack Built is a very interesting movie. I think there's some really good parts that Lars tries to nudge in there, and there's a lot of stupidly pretentious stuff he puts in here too, and justification to put clips from his own movie in this as well. I've never seen a director do that, but you pompous bastard, how can you do that? But he did. So Lars von Trier, you love him or hate him, I think. I don't know where I stand with him. I really applaud his filmmaking at points and the questions he asks. It's very much a Darren Aronofsky type when he questions faith and the existential crisis we have as humans. I sound like a D-bag just saying that out loud, but yeah, The House That Jack Built, not for the faint of heart. Only check this out if you can handle some really grotesque gore. When you see the house that Jack actually built, you're gonna go, oh man, that is freaking crazy. But yeah, it has some fascism in here, which I don't condone at all. It's pretty weird to see, actually, and not any more spoilers, but Uma Thurman obviously is in it, and she, you feel really bad for her. Yeah, The House That Jack Built, I haven't rated it because I don't know how the hell to rate this movie, because at one point I really liked what I saw, and then at some points there's a lot of stuff I didn't like. It also drags a little bit. It's 2.5 hours long. It could have been a lot shorter. I don't know if that's because it was the uncensored director's cut or not. Also, the ending is kind of interesting. But you get to hear David Bowie's fame in here, and it is pretty sweet. So, all right, yeah, this was the first week of the SpookTastic reviews. I really liked what I saw. A lot of them were new watches, and a few were rewatches to get me back kicking into gear. But yeah, I want to know, what have you been watching that first week of October? I'm getting started on a new week tonight, so stay tuned next week for another SpookTastic reviews. Thank you all for watching. If you want to hear what else I'm doing, check me out on Letterboxd. Like I said, I'll put that down below. Check me out on Twitter. Maybe give me a retweet if you actually like me. If you don't, maybe report me so I can get blocked. Other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.